Law Enforcement Review Board. This is our first meeting of 2019. We'll be meeting every other month. So we won't be meeting in February and then again in March and so on. I'm going to do roll call really quick to just start our meeting, make sure we have everybody here, and then I believe we have an announcement from some people over here, and then we'll go through our regular agenda. So let's see, roll call. Casey Bryant, here. Ralph White, not here yet. David Acey, not yet. Dwan Gillum,
Here.
Floridia Jackson,
Here.
Marie Finney,
Present.
Ricky Floyd,
Present.
June Chinjointer,
Here.
Nick Bergorgos,
Here.
Sandeep Pednikar, Hazel Moore,
Here.
and Jamita Swearingen. All right. That having been completed, please.
Hello, thank you guys so much for giving us this time. We'll make it as quick as possible. My name's Cheryl Holtkamp. I'm with the City of Memphis AmeriCorps Vista as the leader.
Hi, I'm Ladarius Gustavus. I am in AmeriCorps Vista. We work in the EDI office. I'm the mentor program coordinator for City of Memphis employees. And then our volunteer portion, ComServe, I coordinate that as well.
So in case you don't know what AmeriCorps Vista is, we're the domestic version of the Peace Corps. So we currently have 12 Vistas serving throughout the community here in Memphis and Shelby County. One activity we're currently doing right now for MLK Days of Service, along with Volunteer Memphis, is we're hosting a donation drive for local shelters and schools. So we're looking to collect donations for Trezevant High School, Booker T. Washington Middle and High School, Union Missions, and Salvation Army's shelter. And we would love everyone's help in just getting the word out, because the end of our donation drive is next week, and we're kind of slacking compared to other years. So we're just really trying to get as much as possible to all those great organizations. So on the front, you'll see a list of all of the items that they have requested and are looking for. And then on the back is all the places throughout the city. We have 30 locations that have donation drop boxes. So if everyone could help us in getting that word out, we would greatly appreciate it. We'll leave donations for Trezevant High School. Sorry.
Oh, thank you.
We'll leave some flyers up here as well as Mr. Gustavus and myself's card. Please reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, or just in general about what AmeriCorps Vista is. So thank you guys so much again, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for them about their program?
Oh, no, thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for including Trezevant.
Yes, we have some people stationed there as Vistas, so they're near dear to our heart.
All right. So we are glad that we have so many people here today, and we'll open up for questions at the end, questions or comments at the end of our meeting after we go through our agenda and our case. And if our visitors could sign in, we'd appreciate it. We have a sign-in sheet on the little round table that's kind of below the desk. Also, if you do want to say something at the end, you'll need to sign in too, please. Okay, I believe everybody has received the minutes from our November meeting.
Yes.
If everyone's had a chance to review those, you can take a minute now, and then I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes if anybody wants to do so.
So move.
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes for November 2018, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes approved. Okay, our old business section, we have committee reports. Now we have just kind of formed these committees. I'm not positive that we've done a whole lot moving at this point, but it's a new year and a new chance for us to get with it. I think the biggest, the two things that we really have ongoing that we need to kind of be thinking about as committees are the outreach committee and the web design committee. And the web design isn't just design, but also helping maintain the website, or even looking at it and critiquing it, or seeing what we need to do to it. I think there's been some mentioned that we don't have, I think there's no live feed on our website right now. It's in fact on another city website. I just want to make sure that the website we have is effective, gives the right information, and so our administrators need a little help getting that done. So we have a few people on the committee, and what I'm going to do is I want us to try to maybe organize by email or something to just be talking and commenting about what might help as we go forward. So I won't call you out now or anything like that, but I just want you guys to think about your role on the committee and how you can be adding to the work we do on the board. The outreach committee, I think after I read this case today, I really thought that we do need to do some outreach. We ourselves do all these trainings. We work, learn what the police department does, learn how they do their work, and even learn, like what the consequences are if they don't do the things they're supposed to do. But I think the general public doesn't really understand, and we've got a long way to go for our outreach. And so I would love for us to be more robust in that area. And I'll be reaching out to you guys to talk about what kinds of activities or things would be helpful for each of you in regards to the committee. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to say about that? Maybe you forgot which committee you're on? Ms. Wilson says you all should have the list of committees in your packet. Aha, yes, gotcha. All right, great. Is there anything else that's burning for old business that anyone wants to bring up right now? Okie dokie. Well, new business. We have this case. It is for Mr. Trent Collier. Is he here?
He is not here yet. I'll go downstairs and check. I spoke with him about 9 o'clock this morning. He said he would be here. I called him.
Okay, well, I think that we can go ahead and start discussing the case. We received the packet a couple weeks ago. I did, in the mail at least. I wanted to know are there any issues that as you were going through it came up for you that you really feel like this case is hinging on? Or just want to discuss it?
Works for me.
All right. Looks like there were 3 officers involved in the investigation. One of them was a primary officer who had 3 charges against him, one for a violation of the body-worn camera, one for use of excessive force, and there was one more. Compliance, no, what was it? Anyway, there were 3, and the only one that was sustained was the body cam one. And the 2 other officers also had a sustained charge of the body cam. What was the 3rd charge? Personal conduct, right, I think because maybe he was using cuss words. So what came up for you guys?
What was the question?
What came up for you as you read it?
I mean, just from reading reports, a lot of times, you can form an opinion one way or the other, but it also helps to have, testimony, from the complainant, and which allows us to ask the complainant some questions that we may have. So, I haven't formed an opinion one way or the other at this particular point.
My question is, he went to the hospital, and based on the report that's in here, I couldn't understand if he had incurred any injuries or anything.
There was a hospital medical report that was attached with everything. In it, I don't believe he stayed at the hospital long enough to be seen by the doctor, but he did report having been hit and held by a police officer, held around the neck, and that he complained of headache and pain in his jaw on page,
To the front part,
yeah, on the
Right
assessment,
here.
it says he complains
Right
of pain in the left jaw, currently 10 out of 10 on a pain scale. But that's about all all the evidence there is that has to do with his injury.
so he didn't finish the exam, he left.
He was getting
Basically.
impatient. He had been working for several hours, like more than 12 hours, I think, and it was early in the morning.
If I was a 10 out of 10, I think I'd stay at the hospital for a little bit longer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I kind of tried to do a little calculation. It seems like he may have been at the hospital for about an hour or an hour and a half in the holding tank, is what maybe someone referred to it as. And it was cold in there. He said that. To me, I mean, this is kind of like all the cases we had from before the body cams were like, oh man, if only we had had the body cam to really see what was going on here. And this is one where it might not even been an issue at all had they not just employed the body cams. And I mean, if that's the main issue, I see that was sustained.
Yes.
Yep, and yeah, I agree, and I think you're right. If we had a body cam, we'd know a lot more than we know right now. I agree with you, and they acted on that one, and they should have.
Yeah, and I don't remember, I know that in the last training I went to with the police, they kind of went over what the, like, seriousness is of a written reprimand. Does anyone remember how that works? Like, you get 3 and then you're in trouble, or does anyone remember or know?
I think it's what
Specifically?
you're referring to progressive discipline.
Yes.
Right. I mean, just basically you start off with an oral reprimand, a written reprimand, and then you go to perhaps, a 1-day suspension, which could be a 1 day or could be 30 days. It really depends. So it's,
And suspension is usually without pay, or do they vary?
it's without pay.
Yeah, okay. So I think sometimes it feels like, oh, well, they just got a reprimand. That doesn't seem bad. But I think sometimes we need to think about it in the context of the overall system that they employ, where 3 reprimands means, like Juwan said, no pay for a day. So I would like to know from our complainant what else he's seeking.
I'd like the statement on page 2 of 9. He says that Collier was told he was, okay, I got you. I asked my own question.
It seems like in this case, the police were pretty thorough in making sure that everybody's story was weighed. I mean, although the one officer said he didn't strike the complainant, they still called the ambulance or the fire truck to have him checked out and then took him to the hospital. On the other hand, they interviewed the officer who had supposedly gotten chest bumped by the guy, and so by the complainant, and so then they paid attention to both issues in the situation, which I thought was a pretty fair behavior.
I would like to ask the question, when neither person is here, I just would like to ask the question, is it not difficult to make a decision, or just make a decision upon your field, if that person, nobody's here, to make a statement? It's always easier when somebody's around to make a statement, to decide what you want to say, but when it's not here, they're not here, we just go and do whatever we feel. I just want to ask, is that the way we do it.
Well, I mean, I guess so. Mr. Robinson said that the complainant had,
It must be an emergency. He really wants the board to hear his case.
Uh-huh.
I talked to him this morning. I went downstairs. I don't know, I called him.
yeah. I think the biggest thing is we're not sure what he's looking for.
Yeah, when we're not sure, how would we make that's why I'm saying, how do you go about making this decision if
Right.
you're not sure?
I mean,
But
if we're not sure, we may have to table it for today,
that's what I was
too.
thinking. It's better, because, I don't like to make, a decision when I hadn't heard the case. You
Right.
can always make it easier for you when you can deal with that, and you can lay down and sleep with it when you feel comfortable of the decision that you have made.
Does anybody here want to pretend to be Mr. Collier?
Mr. Robinson, is it fair to assume that you don't have a cell number on him available?
I called and I don't get an answer, and I went downstairs and checked.
Oh, okay.
We should have, probably at least
But I
wait.
spoke, but I did speak to him this morning around 9 o'clock. The Atlanta meeting.
I mean, if he said he was gonna be here, I think at least we should maybe table it to the next meeting. I mean, just be fair to the man, give him a chance to show up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And he was well aware of the meeting time, correct?
Yes, sir. Now, he works a crazy schedule, sometime night, sometime second shift, but he had planned on being here today. I talked to him about 9 o'clock this morning, so.
I said we'll give him at least, another 5 minutes before we decide to continue the case to perhaps next month.
That's fine.
Now, Mr. Robinson did say that there was some video footage, but it wasn't necessarily very clear or revealing.
Yeah, it wasn't of the incident. The footage that we really needed was cut off. We don't have internet footage. There's nothing on the backup footage from the other officers.
And there was a place in here, I think it says event chronology in the packet, where I think that maybe the 911 got a call from the sister or one of the bystanders saying that she had seen him. Oh, it was the sister. She advised that maybe the officer punched her brother in his face twice and said that she had video of it. But Mr. Robinson also said that she didn't want to really talk to him.
I spoke to her. She was supposed to get back with me. I called her back, and she never returned my phone call after that.
You said you did speak to her at one point?
I did speak with her.
Did she confirm anything?
She said that she needed to get back with me. She couldn't really talk then. She needed to get back with me. And I called her back, and she never responded. I also spoke with the co-worker, his friend. He was supposed to call me back. He didn't sound like he was really interested in getting involved, but neither one of them get back.
Okay.
So in terms of the body cam or dash cam video, you don't think there's anything we can deduce from none of the verbal confrontations or anything?
Now, when it started, he's in the back seat of the car. I'd be happy to show you. We got about 3 or 4 of them, but at that point, he's already in custody, and
So there's
Well, I mean-
nothing leading up to his arrest.
now he's already in custody. But I'd be happy to talk to him.
Oh, you might as well
I
pop
didn't see
it.
that, no.
Oh, you don't want to see it?
Is there any,
I don't need to see it. I don't
Like,
need
we
to
just
see
need
it.
to kill 5 minutes
I
or
don't need to see
something.
it. I mean,
Is there any injury possible on the video
Yeah, that's what I
cam?
was
He had jaw
wondering.
injury? Okay.
10 out of 10, you want to see something?
And he admits that he was hit, but
Well, I would actually like to see at least
Yeah.
just one little snippet of it.
Would too.
I mean, even if it's just to get a sense of the
Well, the medical
accident.
report does say there was some deformity. This is acute, not chronic, but deformity to the jaw, so it may be
Yeah.
something we can see.
And it was dark. I mean, these pictures are not revelatory
Right.
to me at all.
I just want to be clear, some clarity about something. We are only hearing his case. We're not making a decision. Is that correct?
I think we're just trying to take advantage of the time we do have here and, not make a decision unless he does
No,
show
no, no.
up.
When he shows,
Oh.
it says Mr. Collier has an attorney for the assault case.
The
Mr.
assault
Collier would-
case was dismissed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Collier would like the clerk board to hear his case. Are we only hearing or?
That's what I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if we hear it, does he want some decision made?
Right, does
Yeah,
he-
I'm not sure.
Actually, this medical record said it was negative for anything. negative for acute changes, negative for obvious evidence of injury or deformity, abrasions, contusions, deformity, necromysis, athemia. I mean, it's negative for all of that. Negative for all that. That's what this says.
And then he asked to leave early before the, said that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does say positive for injury
What do you see?
for his jaw
Where do you see that?
and some deformity.
Positive for
Injury of
ENT,
Positive for
positive
injury and
head
deformity.
face. Okay, head or head face. Okay, yeah, I see that there.
Yeah, so
Sure.
there's-
Oh, yeah, I see that.
So we
sure.
may be able to see in the
Positive.
video something. I don't know.
I mean, this was,
We'd have to see before and after to know what that would look like though.
yeah. Dr. Acey, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you.
And welcome, Ms. Swearingen.
She's stepped out for a minute.
Oh, my God. Popped in and out.
I think she was on the phone.
Okay. One thing I was wondering, this might just be a little silly, but Mr. Collier said that he was hit with the left hand, that the police officer hit him with his left hand. Then I'm wondering if the police officer is right-handed or left-handed. I don't know if that matters much. He might be ambidextrous.
Where it says head and face, exam is negative for acute changes. Obvious evidence of, so is that,
No.
that comma, is that negative for those things or, because there's a comma there.
I'm reading this as exam is -4. Everything behind it says negative. The
Okay.
ROS may be what he said. I mean, the exam is what the doctor did.
Yeah, negative for all those things. You see that? Okay.
63.5 kilograms.
He's not a very big one, doesn't look big.
We're gonna do one more check downstairs. Can we just call the security people and ask?
Are they still here?
What's that?
The security people, are they still, don't they leave at 4:30?
Are you queuing it up? The video?
Oh, I think he's looking for the copy. He hasn't given me a copy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Didn't know we were waiting. Well, I guess while we're in this holding pattern, we could go ahead and take comments from the audience. If anybody has any questions or comments. Please come up. Just say your name and your, I don't know, zip code, right? Yep.
I'm Reverend Johnson. I wanted to ask you all a question. This is another, a brand new year, 2019. I want to ask this question because I don't know, you all do a great job. Y'all do your job. Boys don't continue to operate like it is with no power. Because it seems like to me that you all have, you subpoena the police director, you do what you do for the mayor, and you get the same results back. So what is the continuation of this board when you don't have no power? You know, so what is the, y'all sitting there doing what you all supposed to do, and I really appreciate what y'all do. Y'all do your job. But how can you put pressure on the mayor and put pressure on the police director to do more?
That's him.
And
Yeah.
that's not.
5'3", 130.
right.
Well, I think that there's some,
You get off the elevator.
avenues to activate our power that we haven't really gone down yet. So we were just talking about that before the meeting. We've got subpoena requests that we've been working on, and it's just been a matter of this is the first one that we were going to make. So we are charting a new course as we go and kind of feeling it out because there's no procedure for how to do it, and no one really. It's just kind of like not quite making it up as we go, but trying to figure it out as we go. So I think this year I'm personally excited about digging into what we have in the ordinance, the powers that the city council has given us, and really exercising those. So it's just something we haven't really pursued in a focused way. But I'm sorry to pause. We do have our claimant now, who has just arrived, Mr. Collier. Hi, welcome. Do you want to come up? We've already discussed your case a little bit, and really we just want to hear from you and understand what you're after today. But I'm going to swear you in so I can make sure you're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So I'm going to do it. Hold on, there's some official words. Where are they? Okay, well, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under pains and penalties of perjury? Okay, thank you. All right, you can sit down if you want or stand. I don't mind. Okay, got it. I think that's fine. So it looks like there were several police officers involved in the incident in September of 2017, right? And there were each of the. Oh, okay. Yeah, she's recording it. So, they all had charges against them, and they all got the charges were sustained for the body camera, the not wearing the body camera, which means that they got in trouble or they were had corrective action against them. They got reprimanded basically by their superiors. What else are you looking for in having made the complaint?
I mean, I pretty much was gonna get in contact with a lawyer after I left here, but I just feel like the whole situation was just crazy.
Yeah.
And just the treatment from an officer who's supposed to protect and serve.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, yeah, just you got to be a little bit louder too, like you're talking to an audience.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was nervous.
I know.
Wasn't expecting
Wait, just a second. Let me just scoot this.
Yeah, it's probably pretty intimidating. We're up here on this big
I thought
dais.
It was just gonna be like a
hangout.
conference room, just a table.
Yeah, it used to be that. Sorry about that. But so we're just going to probably ask you some questions to clarify what happened. But do you want to go ahead and just tell us just a brief summary of how it happened for you?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I had got off work. I was working third shift at Cardinal Health in Olive Branch. But I had got off work early because of lack of work. So I went to my sister's apartment because my mom told us, we need to talk. I haven't seen her in over a year or two.
Wow.
So I made it to her apartment. We hung out, watched the movie with her and some of her friends. So as I got ready to leave, me and my coworker, we finna get ready to leave. She was like, hey, can you boost my friend girl car off? But it's like when you walk out the apartment, the parking lot is right there. So the car was like 10 feet away from her door, like 10 or 15 feet away from her door. So as
Do you want some water?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Sorry.
But as I'm boosting the car off, like 3 officers, they pulled up. 2 was Memphis City police cars. The third car was the unmarked K9. So they approached me while I'm under the hood. And they was like, hey, we need your license. And I'm like, sure, what's the problem? They were like, we just need your license. I'm like, but you're not telling me why you need my license. So the guy, they grabbed me, put me in handcuffs. He was like, we're not finna do this. So I'm like, what's going on? They took my wallet out of my pocket, got my ID. So He said I fit the description of a robbery suspect, but I have on an orange lime, well, it was a lime green work vest with reflectors all the way around, with steel toe boots and basketball shorts on. So I'm like, so I just got off work. You know, he was like, you'll be surprised what people rob people in. So as I'm on the back of the police car, the first police car, they had me in handcuffs and they had me lean on the back of the car. So the two city police officers, they running my license and everything. But it's just the K9 unit officer, he was aggressive. Like, we was talking, I was telling him, like, sir, I'm Islam, I don't have to rob nobody, I don't bother nobody. He was telling me, man, this not my first time arresting you over here. And I'm like, sir, this is my first time over here, period. But he said he arrested me before, and he always run into me, and the managers done told him I done broke in several apartments over there. That's what he telling me, but me knowing that I had to get my sister address from her. I texted her and said, hey, mom told us we need to talk. I showed them the text messages and everything. But so the Memphis City Police officer, they running my license. But the K9 officer, he's standing to my left. And I'm handcuffed, my hands behind my back, I'm handcuffed. So, you know, we exchanging words. I guess he got mad, so he stepped on the shoelace part of my steel toe boots. Because, you know, if you step on the top part.
So it wasn't just the shoelace hanging off your boot. It was actually just the laces on the top of the boot.
Yes, man.
Okay.
Because I steel toe boots, so he know I feel him on the shoestring part.
Okay.
So he stood on top of my shoelace part. And when I went to move my foot, I told him to get off my boot. That's when he just choked me, lift me off the ground by my neck. And he was just choking me and slamming me on the back of the car. But I'm in handcuffs this whole time. So his officers, they got him, they talked to him over there. So he came back, stood next to me. So he grabbed me and walked me past the second Memphis police car to his K9 car. I thought he was going to try to, you know, scare me and put me in the car for dog because he leaned me up against the window and the window was cracked. But he put his glove on. That's when he grabbed the back of the handcuffs with his right hand and struck me in my jaw with his left hand. And then he pushed me back in front of the car.
Mm-hmm. Was it dark?
Yes, man. That's why he walked me back there, because where the two cars was at, the Memphis City cars, like my sister, you know, they had came outside. And you know, it's light right there. When his car was parked, it's like it was up under a tree. So it's dark and there's no light right there. So that's why he walked me back there.
Okay.
And I ended up getting charged. The lady came, she said I didn't even fit the description of the guy who robbed her or anything. So I sat in the back of the police cars after she left for like an hour or two. They came back and said they charged me with assault on a police officer. He said I chest bumped him. He's 6'3", I'm 5'3". So I don't know how I chest bumped him.
You belly bumped him. Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that. Do you guys have any follow-up questions?
My first question would be, your sister, she didn't witness any of the physical altercation, I take it.
The choking part, she did. The young lady whose car was boosting off, it was just me and her out there when the police arrived.
Okay.
Once they put me in handcuffs, she went and got my sister. So my sister and a couple of her other friends came outside, and you know, she started hollering, screaming, and crying when he started choking.
So she hadn't given the police a statement regarding that matter?
They wouldn't even talk to us. Like my coworker was trying, when other officers arrived.
I'm talking about when you went to IEB. She wasn't willing to go to IEB and give a statement?
I mean, I gave them her number, so I'm not sure. Like, we don't live together or anything, so.
But she's your sister, though, correct?
Yes, sir. I thought after Robertson reached out to her, I gave him her number. So I didn't pursue anything with her because I thought he was going to have it.
He did call.
He talked to her?
She didn't call him back. They talked for a second.
See, I didn't even tell her I had any of this going on because I thought maybe he called her and talked to her, that was it.
Yeah.
Like I said, all of this here.
You didn't know it was such a big deal.
Yes.
No, the reason why I asked the question, it certainly helps, you know, if we don't have body cam video, you know, to have I wouldn't necessarily say an independent witness, but a witness, you know, as to the physical altercation. And my next question would be, they took you to the med, but you said they only took your blood pressure. Why did you choose not for them to, you know, do a complete examination of your upper torso from where you say you were struck by the officer and choked by the officer?
I mean, it was a punch to the jaw. I didn't really have any major damage. And then not only that, I had just worked like 9 hours, and then just the whole treatment. Like when I was on the scene in the back of the police car, the EMT came, he grabbed me, snatched me, talking like, "Move your ass over here." Like I was treated less than a human.
So, I mean, here's my question. You went to the med and you had EMT that came to arrive on the scene. I mean, why was that unless there were, some injury, I would think.
I mean, it was a stroke to the jaw. It's just I didn't have any major injuries.
Okay.
And it was just the fact that I said at the med, they have you chained, like you in a long empty room, you chained to this bench, like a cold steel bench.
Right.
I just got out of work, I'm chained to a bench for like 30, 45 minutes.
Okay.
And no one came to it. So it was just like I'm sitting there. I'm ready to get out so I can, see how much my bond is.
I understand.
Get my vehicle, go back to work. I don't have time to throw
So
away.
the charges that the police put on you that particular evening, those charges were dismissed, correct?
Yes, sir. I got a lawyer. I went to court. The officer didn't come to court like 2 or 3 times. They kept like rescheduling. He didn't show up neither time.
Okay. Those are the only questions that I have.
How many police officers were out there, Mr. Collier?
3 at first.
How'd the other two treat you?
The other 2, they was pretty fair. They didn't give me no problems like that. They was older guys. So it was like, I'm just like this. I respected them the way they respected me. But the K9 officer, for some reason, like he was overly aggressive. And even when they was finna get ready to transport me, he said, "I hope you was gonna run because I thought the dog was gonna get to bite somebody." Like,
The other two, were they there when this was going on?
yes, sir.
They were present for everything, and
Yes, sir.
they were nice to you. They treated you.
They was fair. They was fair.
Do you have any complaints about anything they did?
It's just like when they first approached me, like the manner that they approached me was rude. But other than that, like I don't have any other complaints about them. It's just that particular K9 officer.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Collier, you said your sister came out when your friend went back, or her friend went back to get her, and she came out. Nobody recorded it on their phone.
No, because
know,
it just happened unexpectedly. She was just telling me like, "Hey, be quiet, let them do their job." But the officer, he calling me out my name, cussing me out. It didn't seem like he deserved to be an officer. He seemed like a guy from the hood off the streets or something. How he carried himself, he was very disrespectful. And then it's not up to him to decide if a person guilty or not. All you can do is do your job. And it just so happened I was not the suspect. I felt like I should have went home, but instead, my coworker, he had to take my van. I had to go to jail. I had to get an attorney. I had to miss work to go to court, all this and that. But yet this officer, he's still getting paid. He didn't miss work. He didn't go without getting paid. I missed hours. I missed time. I had to go to jail. I had to bond out.
And so when the lady came and said that you were not the person, what did they do then? When she said, "This is not the suspect. This is not the man that robbed me."
I guess they talked to her and let her go about her way. And again, I said after that, I sat in the back of the car for like an hour or 2. And then they came back with a bogus charge, said assault on a police officer. And then I'm knowing, like me, I'm young, but I'm a smart individual. I like to think of myself as an intelligent individual. I'm not going to make my right or wrong. So if I know I haven't robbed anybody, I have my job to confirm my whereabouts. And then not only that, I had a check stub with money in my wallet to prove that I don't have to rob anybody. So why would I chest bump or assault a police officer if I know I'm in the right and it's just a misunderstanding?
So you weren't aware they're going to put that charge on you until long after the clerk from the store came and said, "Hey, this is not the guy."
I didn't know she was a clerk from the store. I
Okay.
thought she was a lady from like a neighborhood or something.
Lived in the apartment.
Like I didn't know what was going on because in fact it was my first time in these apartments. And the officer, he just stopped and he was like, this is not my first time arresting you. I'm like, how you can check my background? You can pull my record. I don't even know you. I never seen you before. He telling me this not his first run-in with me, and they always get complaints about me over here in the apartment. And I told him, like, look, y'all can look at my text message. I had to text my sister to get her address because we haven't talked in so long.
Did you get a chance to read I guess this is the full report, everything that they looked at the internal affairs? Did you get a copy of it? Okay.
Not to my knowledge, I don't think so.
And you mentioned something about when you tried to make the report at the Mount Moriah precinct, they wouldn't take it?
He told me I had to go to another precinct. And when I went to the precinct, and I went to Hickory Hill precinct. And I let the guy know I had just burned it out. Like immediately after I burned it out, my coworker bought my vehicle. I dropped him off at home on Hatch Cross. I drove all the way back to Mount Moriah because the apartments was right there by Mount Moriah. So I'm like, this is the closest
Yeah,
precinct.
it was right across the street, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So that's where I went. And when I went up there, like the guy who was sitting at the desk, he asked me what I need, and I let him know, like, hey, I need to file a complaint, and I let him know what was going on. So he was like, one moment. He went in the back and got another guy. He came and asked me the same thing, told him the same thing. So it was like they talked amongst each other, and he was like, yeah, you can't file no complaint here. You had to go to another precinct. So I went to the next precinct that I knew about, which was Hickory Hill, and I let them know. So they called over there immediately and let them know, like, hey, you can't turn down no civilian for making a complaint. But I guess the K-9 officer worked over there, stationed there, or friends, or I'm not sure. So I had to file a complaint in Hickory Hill.
I think they were stationed at Mount Moriah.
See, that's probably why. But they turned me down, told me I had to leave and go to another precinct.
When you were sitting in the car for that hour, could you see what was going on outside?
It just was like more and more officers came. The scene exploded into something that it should have never happened. It was just like they was all just standing outside laughing, talking, and just, you know, huddled up in a little circle or huddle or something, having a conversation.
Did anybody communicate with you while you were sitting in the back seat?
It was the Caucasian officer who transported me. He was very nice, and I told him, we was talking, and I was like, it's crazy how my own kind treat me like a dog, and you come and you treat me, you know, very nice. And we laughed and joked. I said, when I get out, I'm gonna try to find you. We're gonna have a steak dinner. Like, he was very nice. He transported me like the whole way there. Like, he transported me to the hospital. We talked everything. Before he even, you know, got en route on transporting me, he came to the back. He checked on me, talked to me. He took pictures on his phone. And, like, he was just real nice and kind. And I had told him I thanked him for that. Like, we had a conversation over there. He opened the door, let me smoke a cigarette. And, you know, he talked to me and everything, calming down. He was just like, hey, man, you know, I'm not saying you guilty anything. He said, you know, I'm going to have to transport you, just, you know, just stay calm and positive. Like, he was motivated.
Who made you aware of your charges?
I think one of the three officers who was already there, who came originally on the scene at first. So.
The lieutenant, maybe. There was a lieutenant there. One of the three was a lieutenant.
It was so many police officers, like, it was just unexpected. Just imagine you getting off work and you having somebody boost the car.
No, and it was early in the morning too,
and
right?
it go from you boosting the car to you being accused of robbing somebody, you being choked in handcuffs, punched in the jaw, back of the police car, and now it's about 15 police cars out here in the ambulance. Like, it really wasn't expected in my agenda.
Yeah.
I got another question. So you were, or you are aware that the officers did receive some disciplinary action, correct?
I was aware, but they were saying, like, the only thing they got in trouble for, like she said, was the body camera.
Right.
My thing about it is, if you right, why would you turn your body camera off? And why would I have any reason to make up a story or lie about you? I don't know, you never met you and didn't plan on meeting. And, you know, you supposed to uphold the law. It's okay for you to go out here and break the law and cover it up and get away with it. But yet, I could have been in jail still if I didn't have a job to provide bond money, or lawyer money.
So is it fair to say that you feel like the disciplinary action that was taken against the officers was insufficient and that they had the other charges dismissed? I mean, is that fair to say?
Yes, sir. I just feel like by them being a part of the government and I'm coming to the government complaining about, I just feel like they don't stick together. Because it's just like, it showed me when I went to the precinct that they were stationed there to make a complaint, and I was told that I couldn't make the complaint. I feel like they just don't stick together regardless.
So now that you're here in front of the CLERB board, I guess it's, you know, it's on everybody's mind. I mean, what are you seeking at this point?
I mean, I plan on suing.
Okay.
I do plan on doing that because some fact, like, I lost time and money by missing work. I had to come out of money out of my pocket to get a lawyer. And then I'm looking at it like this. You put this charge on me, but you failed to come to court 2 or 3 times. But this time that I had to keep paying the lawyer, this time that I had to miss work, There's hours I lost, and pretty much my job was on the edge at this point because I was a temp at a pharmaceutical warehouse trying to get on permit. So when you a temp, you already on the edge. So it's pretty much like I didn't get hired permanent because of this, and I was making good money. I was the temp making $17 an hour.
But you hadn't lost that job, have you?
I ended up losing that job because after this, you could see the nitpicking. Like, hey man, you come to work late, you missing work. That's not like you. What's going on? And I'm telling them like, hey, I had got arrested and trying to explain. They don't want to hear it. All I hear is arrested. That's all they hear. Like I'm an equipment operator. I could drive every lift there is, and I was making good money just driving lift at a pharmaceutical warehouse, which was Cardinal Health. I was cool with my manager, never had no problems, never missed a day of work, never late, worked all the overtime. I was making like $1,300 a week.
So much time did you stay were you in custody from start to finish?
Like I say about 6 to 8 hours, because it's 8 hours in, 8 hours out. Like, it take 8 hours to get processed, then it take 8 hours to get processed out.
Yeah.
And were you scheduled to be at work that day?
The next day I was supposed to. I had volunteered. Like, anybody who know me know I love overtime. It's like working 2 jobs. So I just feel like the whole situation though was just uncalled for. When you ran my license and saw that I had no warrants and the lady came, like before the lady came, it was just like the scene had already transpired to something else. When he choked me, you lift me off my feet by my neck while I'm in handcuffs, slam me on the back of the car. He choked me. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, for them to call the ambulance, this is my last question. I mean, you were apparently complaining of some pain while you were sitting there in the police car, right?
When he struck me in my jaw, like, he walked me to the back. I'm on the first squad car, the Memphis Police car. I'm leaning on the back with my hands behind my back. The K-9 officer grabbed me, walked me past the second car, all the way to his car. He put me up against the glass window where the dog's in the back seat. The window was cracked. And I see him reach in his pocket. He put his gloves on. He grabbed my cuffs with his right hand. He struck me in my jaw with his left hand. I just wanted people to be aware that, he had struck me in my jaw. And I seen him when he reached for his camera. I knew he was finna do something. He had the little square box on his chest. I seen him when he touched it. And that's when he punched me in my jaw. Like, my auntie and my uncle worked they retired from the police service. So I knew immediately once I burned out to go file a complaint and then reach out to the attorney.
But here's my question. I mean, for them to take you to the med, for them to call the medic while you're on the scene, you were complaining of some type of injury, correct?
Yes, my jaw was hurting at the moment.
I mean, so answer the question. Yes, you were complaining of injuries.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But what I'm curious about, and you've led to it, he was complaining of an injury.
Right.
He could have complained all day long. But unless they were aware that an injury may have occurred, they probably wouldn't have called.
True that.
So I think they knew they struck you and you may be injured. I'm just saying.
Yes, ma'am.
Because they didn't say you slipped and fall.
They didn't say he slipped and fell. They didn't say, and they did call based on his complaint. How did he get a complaint? And they called. They followed through. So that was a smart idea.
Thank you.
Sorry, Shabbat shouldn't said that, but that was.
And the lieutenant showed up.
Yeah. That sort of did the. Yeah.
The lieutenant or higher ranking officer has to come to the scene.
I just was trying to make sure I covered myself.
With a 10 out of 10, you had 10 out of 10 pain. What made you want to not stay around and get further examination? You got a 10. You wasn't afraid jaw broke or nothing like that?
Now, I knew my jaw wasn't broke because it was still moving, still in place. It just was hurting because some fat he had just punched me in my jaw. And then when you get hit off guard, period, it hurt the most. So I just, I just needed some type of evidence to show that I really got hit.
Was there swelling or anything? Because the medical record says no. Well, it doesn't say much.
It was just a punch in the jaw. It wasn't swollen. He didn't bust my lip or anything. He hit me right here.
Okay.
So it was like, it wasn't swollen. It just was hurting at the time because it had just happened. So.
Who bonded you out?
My sister I told them to give my sister my wallet. And I had, like I said, I had just cashed my check on my lunch break and went back to work. So I had money. she bonded me out with my check, with my money that I had from my check.
So you lost that money. You lost a day or two of work.
Yes.
And then you said something about being late. Was that because of court?
Yeah, and I had to get a lawyer. I didn't get no public defender because they was trying to get me to plead guilty. They kept like, I talked to a public defender one time. They was trying to get me to plead guilty. So I had to go and seek a lawyer. Actually, her office is located right across the street from 201 Pop. And I think I paid her like $350 or $450. And then not only that, the officers didn't never give me my phone back.
You mean your personal phone?
Yes. I never received my personal phone back. I lost contacts. I had the video of my child. Like, I didn't care about the phone. But I had the video of my son being born on that phone. And I never got that phone back. But when they arrested me, you had my phone, you had my wallet, you had my belongings. But like, I reported that at the precinct. I never received my phone back. Like at all. It was a cheap phone, like $100 phone, but the video that was in there was valuable to me. Like, I had one child, and I recorded my son being born, so I didn't get my phone back.
So nobody in the police department has been able to tell you whether or not they put your phone in evidence or what? I mean, what are they saying about your phone?
I just let them know, like, hey, I'm missing my phone. Like,
I mean, now that you're out, I mean, it wasn't tagged as evidence or what? I mean, I'm just kind of curious.
no, sir.
They say they lost it, they never did have it, or what?
Nobody know what happened to my phone.
It was on your person when this whole thing happened. You had it like in your pocket of your pants or something.
Yeah, I guess they put everything I had on the back of the trunk, and they took my license out of my wallet and put my wallet back in my pocket. I never received my phone back. I'm not sure if they left it on the back of a police car and drove off and fell off or what. I never received my phone back. I just feel like the whole situation, if they would have left the body camera on, you would see like everything. Like, they was rude, they was aggressive, they was just disrespectful.
One thing that in this is supposedly all the evidence that they looked at to decide your case. And in here, there's they have your interview. They interviewed the police that were on the scene. They have the police records that say like where they were at what time, stuff like that. Then it has the police reports. The one with the police officer who was saying that you chest bumped him, and then also the report from the robbery. But it says the police have testified that you were kind of belligerent or you were resisting them and not wanting to work with them. How is that accurate, or
No, ma'am, not at all.
that you had used cuss words when you were talking to them and stuff like that?
I wasn't resisting at all. Like I said when I first began speaking in here, the amount of respect the person, I feed off of energy. So the energy that you give me is the energy that I give off.
Yeah.
So I was being respectful to the officers. Like I said, I didn't cuss the other officers out, but the K9 unit,
He was using curse words
yes.
too.
Like, all I said was, sir, I'm Islam. I have no reason to rob anybody. I said, I work hard for everything that I have. I said, I don't bother nobody and I don't look for him. I said, sir, I work hard for mine. I don't give a fuck about you being Islam, little nigga. And, you know, that's how he talking to me. So, you know, if a person comes to talking to you like this, I don't know any just upright human being who just gonna sit there and take disrespect for so long. And I cussed them back out like, you know, hey.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, I was very respectful. Whatever it takes for you guys to run my ID and go ahead about your business so I can continue my morning, fine.
Mr. Robinson, can we see a clip of that video or something?
I'm sorry. I don't have.
Okay.
No, I'm saying. Other thing is, we did receive a copy of the ISP file, and I do have his signature on that. Once we met at the coffee shop, that's when I gave it back.
Maybe you didn't look at it.
That's why I said I was not sure when you asked. I said, I'm not sure.
That's okay.
Collier, when you were asked for your ID, were you able to give your ID freely to the officers, or were you handcuffed and they forcefully took the ID from your person?
When they approached me about my ID, I asked them why did they need my ID. They was just like, give it to me. And I'm like, well, I don't know what's going on. I need to know what's going on before I give you my ID. So that's when they put me in handcuffs, like, hey, we're not about to do this. They went in my pocket and got my wallet and took my ID out.
Was the K-9 officer present at that time?
All three of them had surrounded me at this point.
And did they tell you at that point why they wanted your ID?
No, they waited for me to be in handcuffs to tell me.
Oh.
I guess they felt like I was gonna run or something once they told me, like, hey, we need your ID because you're a robbery suspect. I guess they feel like I was gonna run.
Where was your coworker standing at that moment?
He was in an apartment. It was only me and the girl who called boosting off outside.
Was the coworker ever asked for his ID?
When he got, once they put me in handcuffs, I was like, hey, go get my sister. She went in the house, and I don't even know the girl. That was my sister friend, just a girl who was there, and they asked me to boost the call because I work on calls from time to time. So she went in there and got him. Once my coworker came outside, you know, he started telling me, like, hey, we just got our work, what'd he do? They told him, shut the fuck up. They put him in the back of the police car as well.
Wow. So y'all were in that car together?
No, they put him in a separate car.
Oh.
And he was just saying, like, I didn't do nothing. Like, hey, I'm from Florida. We just work together in Mississippi. Like, hey, I'm just trying to let y'all know. They're like, shut the fuck up. Come on, you going to jail too. They grabbed him.
So he was saying, oh no, this guy was with me. We've been together this whole time.
He was just trying to explain himself. They were just aggressive. They just like my sister. She was like screaming. They were like, y'all can go to jail too. Just pretty much threatening to take everybody to jail. You say something, you going to jail. That's pretty much how they work.
What y'all think?
I think we ought to, explain to them what our limitations are, even if we feel as though the officers did violate, and take a vote and keep it moving.
Yeah, well, so our role is really is oversight. So we look at these cases, we listen to our complainants, and we decide as a group whether we think that yes, this did happen, and then we can make recommendations to the police department on maybe what they should have done or what we'd like them to do, or we can say, no, we don't think this happened, and that's and then and then that's the end. One of the issue we don't have to worry about it. The body cam thing, they weren't wearing it. They should have been wearing it. They got reprimanded for it. There's two other issues is personal conduct. That's whether the police comported themselves in a manner that befits a public servant. And then the other one is, did they use excessive or unnecessary force? So I think that we can consider those two charges, and whether we think that having heard Mr. Collins' testimony, if we think that those are meritorious, and that we think that they should have been sustained, which means that do we sustain a non-sustain, or do we do the opposite of a non-sustain?
I think we sustain or not sustain, or any of the other choices. Shame on the officers for turning off their body cam. As far as I'm concerned, I would like to sustain all three charges against the officers, whether anything else happens or not. But shame on them for turning off their body cam.
And concerning the reprimand, since they've already been dealt with for the body cam, I think it would be important that we also vote on that, just so that our voice, where we stand on it as a CLERB board. Right. We fought for body cam over and over again.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we say something to
Yeah,
that effect as well.
absolutely. And also the fact that you're here and this is a public meeting, that your story isn't just heard by us, and it's not just heard by the people here, but it's blasted over the internet. So you're getting out your story to other people too. Does anybody want to make a motion Floridia, would you like to just,
I move that the clerk board together makes, that each member decides whether it is sustained, unsustained, or whatever I move that we do that.
okay, should we do one at a time?
That's fine. Sure.
Okay. Well, let's just then, the body cam, compliance with regulations. Oh, let's see, hold on, alleged conduct is not supported, okay. Okay, great. Okay, so for the body cam, do we, let's vote whether to,
We'll do it by roll call.
yep, I'm gonna do it by roll call. So we have our choices: sustained, which means it likely occurred; exonerated, which means it occurred but violated no rule or law; unfounded, which means when the alleged conduct is found likely not to have occurred; or not sustained, when the alleged conduct is not supported by sufficient evidence. So I'm going to do a roll call. You tell me what your decision is, and then we'll have the majority. So Casey Bryant, I will sustain the charge of the body cam. Ralph White, not here. David Acey. Sustain. Dwan Gillum.
Sustain.
Floridia Jackson.
Sustain.
Marie Finney.
Sustain.
Ricky Floyd.
Sustain.
June Chin Jointer.
Sustain.
Nick Bragorgos.
Just for the body cam only?
Yes.
Sustained.
Okay. Sandeep Pednikar, not here. Hazel Moore.
Abstain.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Sustain.
Sustain, okay. And Jamita Swearingen.
She stepped out.
Still not here.
She came back and then she had to leave again.
Okay, so we have sustained the compliance, that they have acted in violation of the policy regulations for the body worn camera. And we will reiterate that with the police department. Okay. Next, let's go through the personal conduct. This is I don't know if anyone wants a refresher on that. I think they talk about it on page.
You arbitrarily turn the body cam off. That's personal conduct in my book, so.
Okay. Says the conduct of each member, both on and off duty, is expected to be such that it will not reflect adversely on other members, the department, the city of Memphis, or the law enforcement profession. It not only includes all unlawful acts by members, but also acts which, although not unlawful in themselves, would violate either the law enforcement or civilian code of ethics, and would degrade or bring disrespect upon the member of or the department. All right. So we'll just do a roll call on this. Casey Bryant, I will sustain this charge. Ralph White, absent. David Acey.
Sustain.
Dwan Gillum.
Sustain.
Floridia Jackson.
Sustain.
Marie Finney.
Sustained.
Ricky Floyd.
Sustain.
June Chin Jointer.
Sustained.
Nick Bragorgos.
And this is which charge exactly for which officer?
We're doing for Ennis Jackson.
Ennis only, correct?
Yes,
And we've sustained the body cam?
yes.
All right.
And I'm sorry, I didn't specify for the body cam, but since they were all charged with the body cam, does everyone feel comfortable having sustained the body cam charge for all three?
I have a problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, only one of them didn't have it on. I thought the other two had theirs on.
Three did not have them on,
I thought we had body cam from some of the officers.
but there's
Mr. Robinson?
Not for the incident.
some, but not the three who were in this investigation.
Mr. Robinson, whose body cam?
We don't have the one that he alleged hit him in the job.
Mr. Ennis, Officer Ennis. What about the others?
We do have 3 others.
Three other. The only one I thought we don't have is Mr. Ennis.
There are 3 officers who were charged, and the charge was
Charles-
sustained for
Charles
non-compliance
McGowan,
with the
too.
regulations of the body-worn camera.
Wait a minute.
Ennis Jackson, Charles McGowan, and Alvin Moore.
That was the
Alvin Moore
police-
has since retired.
That was the police charge toward them, that neither of them had on their body cams. Is
That's
that
right. That's right. And there were
All
several
3.
more people that were there who maybe had body cams later, but the initial 3 were these 3, and they did not have their body
And
cams.
these 3 were reprimanded for not having.
They
it.
were, and they also gave testimony that said that they did not have their body cams on.
The footage on the body cam is all after the arrest.
What was that now?
The footage that we do have is all after the arrest. None of them.
After the arrest.
All after
They've been
he's in the car.
arrested.
How many officers are out there total?
I'm pretty sure Lord saw at least 3, then 4. Another one showed up.
On the
Because
beginning.
it's going to matter to me. So are you saying nobody had body cams on, or?
We do have body cam footage,
Is that right?
but body cam footage is after he's in the police car.
So to be clear, the internal review board already sustained the charge for 3 officers who were not wearing body cams. It's right here on page 1 of the investigative report. And so I think that that's not really in question. There were more people that showed up afterwards. They had body cams. These 3 were about to be off duty. It was 4:45. They got a something C, whatever that means, that they were dismissed from work. And so they had taken off their vests that had the body cams on. So then they were called to the scene really fast, and they didn't they didn't put them back on. So the 3 did not have them. They said that they don't have them. It was sustained in this investigation. So,
I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
okay.
But when you get into the personal conduct and this other stuff, the only person that I'm voting to
Jackson.
sustain charges against is the officer in question.
Right, and that's the only
one that's
that's the
charged.
only one
Okay.
who's got these charges.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
the only
Okay.
one.
So let us resume the roll call with Nick Gregorgos.
All right, sustained.
Okay. Sandeep's not here. Hazel Moore.
Staying
Okay. And Jamita Swearingen.
liaison.
Oh, yeah, non-vote. Okay, and then the last one is the use of excessive force. This is for Ennis Jackson, the officer, the primary officer in this investigation. Casey Bryant, I am going to, where's my paper here? I'm going to say not sustained. David Acey.
Sustained.
Dwan Gillum.
I said sustained. The ambulance came to the scene, so unless they report that he bumped his head getting in the car or stumbled and fell or something like that, he went to the med and the ambulance was called to the scene for some reason. So I got to go with sustained.
Okay. Floridia Jackson.
Sustained.
All right. Marie Finney.
Sustained.
Ricky Floyd.
Sustained.
June Chin Jointer.
Sustained.
And Nick Gregorgos.
Not sustained.
And Hazel Moore.
Sustained.
All right. All right. So you've got, as a board, we have sustained all of the charges against the officers. Does anyone want to suggest recommendations to the police department?
Do you want to perhaps, just for general sake, for the sake of the audience as well as our complainant, explain to him what that means and the ramifications?
Yeah, I think I did, but, so that means that we agree with you, and we think that it actually did happen, and we think that it is a violation of the police department's own policy. What we do is draft a letter to the,
Police director.
yes, police director. I always say police chief, that's not it. Police director, to share our concerns about what happened in your case, and sometimes we make recommendations, like we think the officers need more training or more corrective action against them for what they did. I guess just what kind of corrective action would you feel would make you feel better?
When you know how to answer that question, it's not about getting even.
Yeah.
It's about being righteous.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't answer that question right now.
Okay. Anyone else have any suggestions?
Just curious, if you had this all to do over again, them approaching you, was there anything that you would have done different?
I think I handled the situation well the first time. Like, I wouldn't even wish this situation to happen again on no one, but best I could, I was respectful. I tried to help them with their procedures or whatever. But it's just like they say, sometimes good ain't good enough. And I feel like with the K9 officer, it's just me being respectful and nice and kind. I was yes sir, no sir. So.
Well, we most certainly will write a letter to the police department. I think it was good that they did reprimand all three officers for not using the body camera. And this isn't the first time that we've heard a case about police officers acting unprofessionally, let's just say, to people, to suspects or just, whatever. So.
I have a question.
Okay.
You had given the police officer your license when they asked in the first place, you think any of this would have happened?
Sir, because the tone and just their body gesture was just already like they came to the scene just automatically like this our suspect. Like, you know how a person approach you, the tone, the level in their voice, you could tell like already how their mind frame or their mood is already. But, I don't have to give an officer my license if he can't tell me why he need my license. You can't just walk up to me and tell me you need my license.
I don't know, I might be wrong about it, but if a police officer, they're investigating a crime or incident, they have a right to ask you for your identification, I think. Maybe
But
Mr.
again,
Gillum
I
can.
didn't know that they was investigating the crime. I'm just boosting the call. If you come up to me, hey, I need your license.
I'll defer to Dwan on this, but a lawful
Yeah,
command from a
he's the
police
lawful-
officer investigating a crime, it should be obeyed if it's a lawful command. And if it's, Dwan, that's my understanding from my public defender days.
I wouldn't have any qualms in the officer stopping me if I'm just walking around Kroger doing grocery shopping. If he wants to see my license, I don't have anything to hide. I'm going to produce my license.
Exactly.
Because it was clear they were investigating a robbery in the area. For that many police officers to be there, so that should have suggested that, hey, something's going on here. And I don't know what it would have cost you to reach in your back pocket and produce your driver's license. I don't know if that would have changed anything or not. But I tell my son, show your ID if they ask you for your ID, and comply with any and everything they tell you. We'll argue the case later. But
Again, I didn't never have a problem with giving the officers my license. I just asked a simple question like, hey, what's the problem? Why do you need my license? They didn't come through the front entrance. They had to already be in the apartments from where they came from. My sister's apartment is right here in the front. You say like you come in the front entrance. My sister's apartment is right here to the right. I would have seen them come in. You have to come this way to come into the apartments. So obviously they had already been in the apartment because they came from the back side. They didn't have no lights on. They didn't have no flashing lights. They didn't have the arm light on or nothing. They were just cruising slow motion.
they were looking for a suspect.
But if you're looking for a suspect and it's night and it's dark, you would have had your arm light on or something.
They spotted you. We can deduce that.
Mr. Kite, my first job was a public defender here in Memphis for several years. And what I had learned and what Mr. Gillum said, on a crime investigation scene, which is what this was, the police are the ultimate authority. You can work everything out later.
Right.
But and I tell my boys, look, when the police ask a question, answer it and give them what they ask for. Work everything out later. Mr. Acer makes a good point. Maybe we wouldn't be here. We'll never know. But maybe we wouldn't have been here if you said, here it is. And they could look, okay, not the guy we're looking for.
I think we would have known if they would have had their body cameras.
Well,
Yeah.
I agree. We agree with that. We don't disagree with you. We're just saying We're just saying if you hand it, maybe we wouldn't be here. We agree about the body cams. We've already acted on that. We agree with you.
But not only that, I was taught to ask questions. My auntie retired from the Memphis Police Department as the Lieutenant CETs. My uncle is Trouble T's, but he retired from the police service as well. I have no issue with the police officer. I feel like by him bringing it up, he's trying to make it seem as if I have a problem with the authority.
No.
But I just wanted to know, like, hey, what's going on? Like, you would want to know, like, why are you being confronted for your license? You want to know what's going on. Like, I feel like you should let a person know, let them aware of what's going on.
Well, I was a military policeman in Vietnam era, and I know all the rules, etc. But I'm not trying to say you were wrong, but the police have the ultimate authority to ask for your license, period. You don't have to ask them why you out there harassing me. You ought to be somewhere chasing a crook or something. Just give them your license.
Yes, sir. But how I asked was respectful. I didn't know. I said, man, I asked was,
We agree with you about all the other stuff, but just, sometimes citizens don't understand the rights of the police officer.
But I think, while this ID issue is one thing, we do get to ask if we're under arrest. Yeah. We do get to ask if we're being detained. And we do have the rights to ask some questions to police officers. Maybe just this wasn't the question.
And Mr. Collier, I do agree. Giving up the license may have made a difference. We don't know. But I also honor the fact that you claim to be a hardworking man who happened to be in an area.
Yes.
You're wearing an orange or a lime green suit. I get it, Mr. Collier, and I want you to know that I get it. And it may have made a difference if you've given up that license. But we don't know, because like you said, there's nobody can. So.
And I didn't think it was, what is the issue if I asked you, why do you want my ID? Why, I mean, am I being arrested? Why me? I guess. I can't ask. Why me?
And if you're startled, if you're shocked by even being approached, and the three men standing in front of you, pardon me, sir, you happen to be 5'3" and one of them was 6'1", your first response may not be to go for it may be, because then it turns into, can I reach in my pocket? It does turn into some questions. It does. So I hear you. Yes, I wish you had have just handed them your ID. But even in doing that, may I reach in my pocket? What do you mean? I mean, it sounds like the situation was already hostile. So I don't know how this could have been different. I do wish you had given me your ID so we could have seen maybe a difference. But since there's no body cam, we won't know.
Yeah. But thank you for being willing to come in and also making a report. And this is something that I think, you said like you knew that you could make a complaint because you have family in that are formerly, and so
hearing my voice as well.
of course, thank you very much. And we will our committee, our communication and recommendation committee will draft up a letter that we will send to the police department, and we'll send you a copy. And thank you very much.
I thank you. Can I say something? I want to thank Mr. Robinson. He been nice, polite to me. I think I had to reschedule once, and he worked with me. So, he give me a call, something come up on his end, he had to reschedule. So I thank him.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Before Mr. Collier moves, I gotta go. I really gotta go.
Yeah.
But there's some people itching to ask questions out here. Can we give them 3 minutes?
Yes, absolutely. You can sit over there if you like, or
you can stay where you are,
or you can stay where you are. Oh, turn around. I don't know.
I thought you had your hand up, ma'am.
Okay. Just stand up and say your name and
Yeah, so I'm a reporter with a commercial appeal newspaper. My name's Philip Jackson. I've covered several police-involved shooting stories here. One story I did kind of focused on.
Mr. Jackson, can you keep this related to this case and make it extremely short, related to this case only?
I don't know if anybody has questions about this case.
Okay. Because in terms of time.
Yeah.
I have any questions?
I have a question, and it's short. My name is Jan Shively, and I am just wondering if you all, in the syllabus that you have there, do you have a copy of the original police report as it was filed?
I think it's in there.
Okay.
It's right here, incident report. Right there.
Okay, I was wondering, so, yeah. You had what they wrote down happened.
You got a question?
My name is Angela Cole, and I'm a member of ICA. I hope some of you guys know what ICA is.
We do.
But I'm here because I keep hearing the same thing about the body cams, and that really bothers me. One question I have, and I don't know if you guys even know this, is what is the reprimand? What is happening when these police officers are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Do we know what's happening?
To the director.
I think we've had two situations where the officers turned their body cams off and didn't have them on. And in both of those situations, the officers were given a reprimand. And when Director Rollins met with us, I questioned him about the level of disciplinary action, and he indicated to me that it wasn't disciplinary action, it was corrective action. I guess it really depends. But I mean, it could range from anything from a oral reprimand to a suspension. I don't think they have a set amount of punishment for the officers that are involved in these type of situations, and the body cameras were not activated at the time. So,
yeah. I think with the publicity of the last step that we had with the body cam, that
Montavious Banks.
Yeah, we won't be having that much minimal body cam problem. I want to bring to the record that this was, I think, 2017, correct? So a lot of things that you see were previous years, but I think, unfortunately, probably for the good of the community, this last incident that we had and the publicity that came with the body cams and them not using them correctly, that we probably won't be seeing the extent of the lax in the body cams as we have. So that's a good that came out of that fast.
and we're speaking of an officer-involved shooting?
Yes, sir.
Montavious Banks.
Okay.
Yes, so I do want to know if I'm able to ask my question. No, it's not completely on the specifics.
Yes.
It's not completely on the specifics of his case, but it is relevant because it discusses body camera footage. So
Go ahead.
okay. So yeah, I did a story about how the police department doesn't release body camera footage during investigations, but other departments throughout the country, specifically New Orleans, Los Angeles, Baton Rouge, out in Sterling, Killing, Shooting, if anybody's familiar with that. They brought in policy to where they have to release body camera footage within the week or the month of an incident that occurs. So in his case, I can't remember the exact month, but if the Memphis Police Department had that policy, they would have to say if they were or were not going to release the footage within a week of an incident or a month. And a lot of times with, when situations happen, time passes, people forget about it, the footage never comes out, like things like that happen. And it's an issue of transparency with the community, what happens with the person. People ask questions, they hear about it, but they don't see the footage, things kind of get forgotten about. So I do want to know if this board feels that the department here in Memphis, the Memphis Police Department, should bring in policy that requires, some type of indication if they're going to release the footage or not.
Well, the police department, on an ongoing investigation, if you get close to the police, a lot of things they can't release right now. I think the director already told us that. It might jeopardize the whole case in his case, not help him. It's a murder case. You can't just release the footage, and the lawyers and all the investigators are spending all these hours. See, we don't think about that. Investigators have to go out at midnight, 3 o'clock in the morning, and look at evidence on the ground. It's a lot involved. Unless you're the police director, you don't know that. And all the people that's working on one case, just not the camera on it. In defense of police department, if it's an ongoing investigation, they have to be cautious what they release.
So yeah, again, my question.
I do agree with you, sir, that since other states are doing it,
I mean,
then he should probably do it in Tennessee as well.
That's my thing. It's transparency. That's the thing.
What time should he release it? Next week?
A week or a month, yeah.
Well, if this investigation is still going on.
Did you do the article in the Commercial Appeal or for
It's
something
making a
else?
difference in other states, though.
Yeah,
Okay,
when was
well,
it? I
I'm not the
I'd
director.
be interested in
I
looking
think
at
that
it.
story it was relevant to Montavious Banks' case.
Okay.
We don't know that. Well, for one, the footage was turned off in this case, but there's been other shootings, where, like I said, other cities, other states have brought in policy, which seems like it's a movement towards more transparency, where they're indicating if they're going to release it or not within a certain amount of time of the incident. I'm just wondering if this board feels that this police department should be doing that as well.
I think it's something that maybe we should that the director of police should take a look at anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to look at your article. It sounds like you've done some background on this information, so. What's your name again?
Philip Jackson.
Okay, I'm gonna look you up.
Cousin
What's the title of the article?
Huh?
What's the title of that article?
I can pull it up, but it's basically saying, while other departments are bringing in policy to release body camera footage, Memphis Police keeps it.
Okay, I'm gonna take one more question and then, we're gonna close up.
Actually, I have a valid, I'm Wendy Zuniga. I have a valid issue with the cameras right now to make my case. I was assaulted by a police officer and, I was sustained on a compliance with regulations for a search and seizure and a response to resistance. Okay, the situation is this, I was, in my home.
Can we pause for 1 second?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is something you've already made a complaint about, and they were sustained?
They were sustained, but the issue is this, there was only 3 officers there.
Okay.
On the event chronology, okay?
Uh-huh.
And that was Heather Starks, Christopher Matthews, and let me stop here. Christopher Matthews.
So here's what I wanna
already
say,
in
though.
Investigation.
I really wanna,
I need you to hear this.
I know, but I want to, there is actually a process for us to review the case.
Yeah, right.
And if you let us go through that process, we can look at it thoroughly and answer your question in a way that's knowledgeable. And so.
That's what I'm trying to explain.
I know, but we don't really have the time to go through a whole case today. And I think we would want to answer your question in a way that understands all the details. And so we would, if you appeal the decision, then we can pull the footage and.
But see, why would I appeal the decision?
You can.
But see, what I'm not.
Because
I
if
thought
there's
Jake
something,
Clay-
listen, if there's something more you want, you can absolutely appeal it, and we will look at it.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
what is the process to do that? Because
Mr.
I'm
Robinson will
getting
let you know.
out the Limitations, I'm getting out the statute of limitations right now.
Yeah, we'll work with you on it.
Did you
okay?
sign in?
And, thank you very much.
I move that the questions be closed.
Yeah, the questions, I second.
I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to say Ms. Wilson wanted me to make sure that everybody signs their name on the sign-in sheet. I know we did a roll call, but this is just for a physical proof, that we were all here, aside from the video and stuff like that. Anyway, so I will, go ahead and move to close this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any against?
Aye.
So moved. We're closed. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. Collier.
Okay, be good.